Hey everyone, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. What a day it is today. What a day it is. With the sound of 1,000 hypersonic aircrafts breaking the sound barrier, the EU balls have officially dropped. After negotiations, the European Commission has agreed to start a accession process to the EU with Ukraine and Moldova. It is impossible to overstate how important it is. It's monumental for multiple reasons. On one side, which is going to be closer to you, is that it's going to finally, hopefully, break for some of you this negative cycle of media that I've been talking to you about for a couple of couple of videos already. On the second part, it's obviously a huge motivator for Ukrainians inside the country. We need to understand that this negativity that we're feeling sometimes is also felt by Ukrainians. Maybe not as much on the front lines, but definitely by Ukrainians that are supporting their soldiers inside of Ukraine. And while they do have resolve, it's easier to keep sustaining the war effort and doing what they're doing when they know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel ahead. But in my perspective, because I am European, because I care so much for Europe and the EU project, that is a clearest sign of European Union fighting for itself and finding its ground once again. Finding what we all stand for, finding that we are actually big and strong and we can define what's happening on our continent. In Europe, we have been stuck in this weird perpetual discussion whether or not European Union is too big, whether it can be managed, how it should look like, should we invite new members, can we process older members. Someone like Bulgaria knows this very well because Bulgaria has been a member for a while right now, but they are still not part of the Schengen area. And I'm not going to go explaining what it is. Google what explanation of EU. It's not the point. Bulgarians know what I'm talking about. The point is, we were still trying to find where is our ground, where is our leverage, where is our power. You know, I love democracies, and I love democracies with big guns that are able to stand for themselves. After Russian invasion into Ukraine, there have started appearing certain minor shifts here and there. But the process was very slow. We saw that first and foremost with Macron and Scholz trying to offering Putin the off-ramp and everything else. And then as the months passed, as more and more information about this war started, the understanding came that maybe democracies and EU and what we're having here is not given, that we need to fight for it. And more importantly, we need countries that are young and alive and also want to fight for it. Ukraine was the prime candidate. That's why I am really glad to see that with this decision, Europe is now following its path with elections in Poland and so on, with slowly but surely finding again this European drive, the drive for a bigger Europe, united Europe, strong and peaceful Europe that will not allow dictators to dictate anything on our continent. The time of empires is past on the European continent, and I am glad that we're still not there because mostly we have been under investing in our defense. That is true. But we're getting there. And this is absolutely clearly stated by many countries in the EU, because continuing the pattern of the good news, Zelensky has visited the summit of the Nordic countries, where Denmark has said that they will pledge just right now additional 1 billion of, it says dollars here, but the actual thing, it's supposed to be in euros, but euros, dollars, about the same. It doesn't matter. And that is, I mean, I can only say it in Danish. I can only say, yeah, for helvede Denmark, der konge, der konge. That's what I can say to this. It's great. It's great news. Norway is gonna issue additional 1.8 billion in euros to Ukraine. The more and more discussions in other countries are happening that it is also European responsibility, European importance that Ukraine gets the support it needs and it wins. European countries can do more and we will do more. And I'm happy to see this message coming across more and more. The Prime Minister of Poland, Donald Tusk, just recently stated that he will try to fully mobilize European Union to make sure the help to Ukraine that it needs will come flowing in. And I am absolutely certain for it. And I'm really glad about it. And I'm really glad seeing that media is catching about it as well. Something that we discussed just recently a lot. And while before the articles you would open one after another and you would read, oh, Russian army is doing great, Russian economy is doing great. Finally, somehow they started catching up that maybe, just maybe, something is not as good as it seems. And the first report that we have is from the US intelligence when they declassified their numbers and expectations on Russian casualties. And the Russian casualties that they estimate is 87%. 87%. This is stupendous. And I know it's 87% of the army that Russia had pre-invasion, but still, just think about it. Like, we all mostly live in peaceful countries. Imagine that after a year, you say 87% of all the people that were there are gone. They're out. They're not existent. In the military sense, if a unit sustains like 30% casualty, it needs to kind of reform itself. It's not fully battle capable. If casualties are above 60%, that unit is gone. It's like it's not a unit anymore. It's just a bunch of men. That's not a unit. Russia has lost many times over that. Many times. And they estimate the numbers to be about 360,000 casualties. Well, Putin just had a conference. On that conference, he unknowingly, unwillingly, and probably maybe I'm going to make a video. Firstly, you shouldn't listen to Putin. He's a dictator. He's a bloody killer. He's a liar. He lies in every single word. So you shouldn't really talk about this. But interesting fact that he was throwing around numbers about how many troops there are in the Russian military, how many troops there are that signed up since military, how many troops there are. After some brief calculations, what turned out that Putin went with his statements about numbers, that he admitted that over 300,000 Russians died or been heavily wounded, so are incapacitated to continue fighting, because he was admitting to the other numbers. Putin himself admits basically the same numbers that US intelligence is stating, that's saying, yes, we lost 300,000. 300,000 people. That is such a stupendous amount. That is so beyond any sane country. It's going to be a pain for decades. Putin is doing damage to the Russian society beyond any expectations or hope. What they're getting for it is minuscule. They are not even close to any kind of victory in Ukraine. Remember, more money is coming Ukrainian way. Yes, I know there is a whole argument with US support. I'm not going to cover it again. I think me as a European, right now, I need to focus on the European stuff just because Europe is finally finding its footing. And I'm asking then people from US, my US friends, to write in the comments what you think about the situation in US and whether or not it's going to get good. But Europe is standing up. Europe is waking up. And I'm really happy for that. I'm really happy that we in Europe support Ukraine and continue supporting. And talking about support, we got another thank you on this channel, this time from the 25th Airborne Brigade. They have sent us a flag with all of their signatures and best wishes and thank yous that we continue supporting this. We support people on this channel with additional campaigns where we directly donate to the things that are used by the military. And more importantly, I use parts of the profits of this channel to support the Ukrainian armed forces directly. So if you're just watching the videos, it helps. If you're donating on Buy Me a Coffee, it helps. If you're actually, the best thing you can do is go to ukrainematters.shop and buy yourself something. Then it's a win-win-win because you get something, we get something to support channel, and we also send something to Ukrainian armed forces. I think that's the best scenario. So check it all out, support Ukraine, and a huge thank you from the 25th Airborne Brigade to every one of you. But what about the battlefield? Well, I'm going to be brief today because the situation, as I said, Russia are not getting anything. Ukraine is in a strategic defense. Ukrainian command right now is in a situation where they have severe uncertainty on the supply of resources. So they cannot fully utilize the resources to the same capacity that they had before. It doesn't mean that they don't have, for example, the shells to fire, that they don't have the certain number of equipment to deliver to Ukrainian armed forces. But what it does mean is that if they're planning certain operations, if they're planning for certain breakthroughs of the Russian where they would need to use certain reserves that they have, they need to conserve their ammunition and resources. This is an unfortunate situation where Ukraine should never have been in. Ukraine should never have been short of supplies of weapons, mostly because we in the West have all of these weapons and we can supply them to Ukraine. The question is, why are we still not doing it to the capacity that Ukraine needs? I know why European Union is not doing, and again, because we don't have anything. But the point is, it takes some time and we're going to get there. But right now, for Ukrainians, this is problematic. The issue with having less ammunition, less resources on the front line means that there's going to be difficult decisions for Ukrainians whether or not they will be able to hold certain lines if Russia puts enough pressure. Russia understands this, and they are assaulting on many, many directions. They're assaulting on Kupiansk directions, they're assaulting on Torsky direction, they're assaulting on Bakhmut direction, they're assaulting on Avdiivka direction, Marinka direction, Robotina direction, and the bridgehead. By the way, about bridgehead on the Kherson area, Putin was asked about that bridgehead, and it was great because in the same statement he said both that, oh, it's great that we have that bridgehead because Ukrainians are just sending in troops and we are destroying these troops, so let them come. And also, like a sentence later, he said, but we're going to totally destroy that bridgehead so it will gone, and I will order to more effort to be done to get rid of that bridgehead. So both it's like, oh, it's actually benefiting us that there's a bridgehead, but also like we're going to destroy it. It's like, oh, that doesn't sound like... So he's being a slimy weasel, but I mean, like, he's a serial killer, so fuck him. So right now on the front lines, I would expect Russia would be slowly advancing somewhere. However, I do not expect any major breakthroughs. Russia just don't have the resources. Russia doesn't have the resources to push Ukrainians out of any kind of big city, collapse the front lines, anything like this. It's not happening. Other than that, Russia is losing a lot. Like a lot. Even Putin acknowledges that. And they will continue losing a lot. I'm going to say a couple of words to Russians. Don't come to Ukraine. You're just going to get killed. And if you're already in Ukraine, get the fuck out of Ukraine right now. Slava Ukraini, guys. I love you all. Everything is going to be Ukraine. And I'll see you next time.